Alright, this video I'm going to show you how to service your swing arm and your linkage bearings. This is something you should do quite often. I see it's never done. A lot of times when I get a machine from someone else, it's obvious that it never happens. I just do it at the end of the year, at the end of the season. I have multiple bikes that I ride, so it should probably be done more often. If you ride the bike constantly every weekend or all throughout the week, this is a service that needs to be done. So all you'll have to have removed is, of course, your rear wheel, your chain, subframe, brake lever, your rear brake system. You know, because we're just taking the swing arm and the linkage off. It'll make it a lot easier to service. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and finish pulling everything apart. So this guy is going to fight me. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead, remove my swing arm pivot bolts. I'm going to just unbolt all the linkage, get all the linkage out from underneath it. And I will see you in a second. You know what? Never mind. There could be some tips I could throw in this. So if you're having a hard time removing your pivot shaft with this bike, I just take a very large Phillips head / punch, your handy dandy multiple purpose tool. Just give it little taps. Eventually you get to the point where you're going to be able to remove it. And see how dirty and grimy that is? Yeah, exactly. It should be done more often than I even do it. And I baby the shit out of this bike. I'm just going to move this underneath the swing arm just to help protect the powder coat. And then for this one, it's going to be 14 millimeters and 19 millimeters for your nuts and bolts. Oh man, that one's on there. Like I said, it should be done more often.
The hell just happened to that? Oh.
If they get stuck, a little tappy tappy. Careful not to damage your powder coat like I just did. And it still don't want to come out. So, the handy dandy punch. Careful not to damage threads. Might have to pry bar this off. So one bad thing about powder coating a machine is clearances change. Don't want to damage the powder coat. Nice easy roll off. Ta-da! I'm just going to set this guy right there. But this not... Oh my god. You couldn't do that if you tried. There and there. There's this guy. And while this is still on the machine, make it a little easier on me.
Everyone's kind of seasoned together.
There is part of the linkage just so I don't mix anything up, confuse anything. You can also take a wrench and twisty-turny while applying pressure. Flip the wrench around and just throw it into oblivion, apparently. Gonna have to do the same thing. There you go. Ta-da! Alright, got it all off. See you in a second. Alright, so I'm going to show you with the linkage you might need like a screwdriver or a pick or something. Just get those spacers out. And then you just push the inner sleeve out. If needle bearings fall out, that's fine. Just put them back in their place. Really, you're just cleaning everything anyways. So you'll take like probably not a flat head. Take like a Phillips with a rag, and I just go in there and I just spin it around each bearing. See how the needle bearings are falling out? That's fine. I'm not worried about it. Really, if you want to do a good job, you take all the needle bearings out anyways and clean out all the surfaces. Since I service this often, I'm really not worried about it at all. I'm just cleaning out all the old grease, making sure all the needle bearings get put back in. You just slide them in and push them right down in place and they'll be in place. Clean out the edges on the seal. Just trying to get all this old gray dark grease out. It's pretty good. Let's do this side. I'm just going to go along the edge of the seal right off the bat. Using an old repurposed t-shirt to do this. If you just go around in a whole circle and spin, you're less likely to pull bearings out. They do fall out sometimes. Like I even have one on the inside there. See, here he is. And after you do that, you know what? And the shaft. We're going to wipe down the shaft of all the old grease. Ta-da! I don't know what the hell that was. Looked like paper. Oh. Whoops. And for shits and giggles, clean this guy out. God damn, man. This is a good night. Just chilling in the garage, having a few brews, greasing some linkages. So for this, I'm going to use Maximus waterproof grease. I didn't think I'd ever like Maxima, but this grease is fucking sweet, bro. So, nice thick finger grab. See, look at that. Oh my god, this is good stuff. Oh yeah. And I'm just going to try and keep it all going inside here. And you're going to roll it around a lot in these bearings because you're rolling it on the inside and the outside, and this shit is so tacky that it's just pulling all the bearings out. Fuck yeah. This stuff is good. So all the bearings are coming with me and falling out, see? And I will have to use a pick or a screwdriver of some sort. I'm going to pull them back this way because it'll pull the grease back this way as well. Get them all kind of like somewhat set in place. And just push them down in their grooves. Make some room. and it is going to be messy. If you're picky about the cleanliness of your machine, you want it to look really nice, like, just wipe it down after, bro. I just have one left now that's on the inside there that doesn't want to go in place. There he goes. These last 4 that fell out, they're saturated in it. I mean, I have a shit ton in here anyway, so I'm gonna set that one down. I'm gonna set that one down and focus on these guys. It is kind of tedious, takes some time, but you'll get a feel for it. I'm sure as I go on, I'll get a feel for keeping the needle bearings in place. I can't get this last guy. He's on the outside too far, and he's turned sideways. Wonder if it'd be better if I just sent him all the way through. Oh, look at that. See how tacky that stuff is? Oh. Maxima, the only good thing you do is grease. I love my Amsoil, but this Maxima grease is fucking fantastic. Last one. Bam. When you're all done, you can wipe everything down if you're that worried about it. And now for, well, I guess I'd have to do the other side. Hang on one second. Alright, I got both sides. With the excess, I'm just going to wipe it on the pin or shaft. You don't have to get to the very end, so long as you put the lubed end in first. Stuff is great. Bam. Got it in. Oop. I have one pin falling out. Got him back in. There you go. Shaft's in place. Next, I still have a lot left stuck on me, so I'm going to lube your spacer. Inside and out, set him in place. Same thing for the other spacer. Inside and out, set him in place. Now it's going to be the same thing for the other linkage. Swing arm's going to be a little different. There's another thing you have to lube and take care of. So I'm going to go ahead and lube that linkage over there. And then I'll see when and I'm going to go install it on the bike, and I'll see when I bring the swing arm over to lube this one. FYI real quick though, this lube is also a great cleaner. Wipes everything right off. I will put a little bit of lube on the ends of these. It's just going to help for putting it on the frame. So I will be back with the swing arm. FYI real quick, while you're doing this, you're looking for flat bearings. You know, if it's rusty, I would just replace it. If there's any flat spots in any of your needles or your bearings at all, period, you have excessive wear on your shaft, I would just get a kit and rebuild it. And I recommend Pivot Works. That's the kit that I've used on all my machines. Those guys are very precise. They do a great job. I know All Balls owns them, or the company that owns All Balls owns them now. But I still expect that same precision work out of Pivot Works. And yeah, just make sure like you don't put needles in that have flat spots. This is just going to create a bigger problem in the future. Also, when you do this too, your shock, your rear shock, its upper point, since its lower one is right here. I'm getting ready to grease that one next. You want to check that too, make sure it doesn't have any excessive play, anything abnormal in it. Alright, I'm going to leave this one up and I'll be moving on. Also, real quick, when you're lubing the bearings, if you keep spinning in the same direction, you're less likely to pull bearings out. The only time you're likely to pull bearings out is when you pull your fingers out. I should be mentioning these techniques as I do this, but I forget, and that's why we're here. Alright, nice and greased up. Alright, for this particular model, for the lower shock bearing, you will have to remove one seal to be able to get your sleeve out. Just thought I'd point that out. Alright, with the swing arm, it's essentially the same thing, but you also have, I don't want to damage that seal. You got to remove the seal, but you'll have, push that shaft down, and you can pull these guys out. You have a washer, a needle bearing, and another washer. I'm going to clean these guys out and clean them. Other than that, it's the same thing. Just do the same thing. Clean everything out. Make sure you get rid of all that old grime. And this is a big wear item. Pay attention to your needle bearings, any flat spots, rust, excessive wear on your pivot shaft. Just get a rebuild kit. I know it costs quite a bit, but the integrity of the swing arm is very, very important. Also, while you have it apart, your chain guide, if it is starting to wear through, that's just grime. If it's starting to wear through and getting close to your actual swing arm, replace this guy too. Make sure you do that, because replacing a swing arm is much more expensive than a fucking $25 Polysport chain slider. So I'm going to go ahead and lube this guy up. I'm sure you'll see me do it here and there because I'll have something else to say. Alright, all lubed up, ready to go back together. I already have my linkage on the bike. Gonna look like that. So I'm going to start by, and this is going to be a bitch, because like I said, the powder coat, clearances are just so tight. And I'm going to get grease everywhere again. Try and come from the top. I might need some persuasion. Starting to convince her. It's a good thing I chose black, because this would be leaving a lot of black marks. I mean, who wouldn't choose black? Almost there. At this point, could I just nope. Can I walk it? I think I can walk it. Looks pretty close. Maybe just a touch more. There you go. Maybe not quite. And before I put my bolts in, I put a little bit of grease on them. This just is help for removal the next time you remove them, so keep that in mind. There she goes. Nut and washer. Washer nut. And then we're going to go ahead and just put her on. Tighten her up. Already in there. Might as well. Gotta be careful though. Don't want to damage this sweet ass paint job. It'd probably be better if I had an extension. There you go. Pretty fucking tight. It is a lock nut, so. Anyways, this is a fun part. Just going to slide it in place. I also greased the pivot shaft. I greased all the bolts. This just helps with removal the next time you do it. Oh, the axle block fell out. I'll be damned. I'm going to kind of line that up before I start sending it through. No longer lined up. Gonna have to grab some channel locks to spin it to where it'll line up. Since it keeps rotating counterclockwise, I'm going to go a little past counter and then drive it in the rest of the way with my handy dandy punch. And just going to throw the nut on that side and tighten it up, and there you go. You've lubed your linkage and your swing arm. It's that easy, and it needs to be done often. More often than I do it, apparently. There you go. Good job, people.